Greetings. This is Body-Culinary. And it's a little early. It's about 6:12. So, most of you folks might be out and about, but I'm in the garden because a lot of times we got to do this garden thing over and over and over, which is why it's such a great analogy for life, right? So, I'm going to say to fallen skies, shout out. They're down in the South. And I'm going to be honest with you about some of the, I don't know if we want to say mess ups or lessons of the garden, because there are many lessons, which is why it's a wonderful analogy for life. Is that right now I'm looking at a little baby watermelon. The areas where I've grown the pineapples. Would you believe I nourished that pineapple for months, and it got to the point, hey, Michaela, well, that pineapple is nice and juicy and ripe and ready to be picked. And with a day and a half, I didn't get to pull it fast enough. Hey, Codename King, that the pineapple, the ants ate it. And if you're not quick with the garden, it's something that you nurture and you put so much time into. Hey, Carrie, you can put so much time into the garden and lose everything. When it's my little 2 cents. When I tell you the garden is such a wonderful tool for weight loss. And when I say weight loss, I only mean additional adipose tissue, extra stuff we have on the body that's not burning off. And for your body to fall to a natural weight, it's because of somebody that's been in the personal training field for many, many years and worked in holistic health and nutrition. Quite often we're focusing on fasting and supplements and all the stuff on the outside. In this age of leveling up, many of us are being encouraged to, and I'm not making it wrong, just pointing out distinction, to buy wigs and loads of makeup. If you look at all these makeovers, and we don't get to the underlying factor of what drives our behavior. So as a person, since I was a young girl and now as a mother, I'm always fascinated by what drives our behavior. So I'm going to say, first off, here's some of the lessons. Here's some of the things that I lost in the garden. Some fresh corn. Over here, several ears of corn. Let's see, a pineapple. And some kale. Now, when you're growing, hey, greetings over there. When you put that much time into your garden, and it's a lot of, hey, Lakvanichi, when you put that much time into the garden, and I tell you, it's like babies being born. Shout out if any mothers out there. It is so amazing. Unless you're from the South and you grew up with a farm. I did not grow up in the South. Hey, greetings, neighbor. Yeah. That it takes so much time and nurturing to grow something. Even a small area that's a garden, it's a lot of work. It is so satisfying though to grow something that you eat. Now, this is just me from the city gal who started out. I can't tell you legally to go on a fire escape, but I started on a fire escape because I've had a passion for many years, for almost 15 years or whatever. I was like determined, maybe longer, almost 2 decades, determined to grow my own food. I did not give 2 peach pits if I was in a small apartment. I've been determined to grow my own food. And as somebody that's a foodie, as a chef, as somebody that comes from a family where my folks can burn. They can make some food, the Caribbean side, the Bajan side, and also the Southern, the folks from the South. So I like to say we had 2 different flavored pig feet coming up. But anyhow, to lose these things in the gardens, for them to perish because they're fresh and whole and living, just like our body's whole and living, it's sad. I felt sad. You could say it's over drama, but just go with me here. That you put so much time and effort into something and then lose it because, like, you could say a lack of attention, but also the pace of life. The pace of life. You have these beautiful things, these beautiful moments in the garden, and then to lose it. Even my sister was like, oh my gosh, that died. I've had carrots in here. Now, keep in mind, I'm not beating up on myself too much because it's been a heat wave, like it's about 100 degrees, if not feeling much hotter. But we could be so drawn into social media and drama and the gossip channels that the things that we are working on and the things that we've started, we lose it. We lose momentum. We can lose momentum from being distracted, um, from just these distracting sometimes relationships that are not really of substance, and something of substance like the plants that you're growing that are going to nourish you. This could also, I say, the garden is a great analogy for life. You can think of this of like your dreams, your savings, economics, how you ideally wanted a family. When you get extracted and pulled off in the world, and marketing is going to come after your vices. It's going to come after you for shopping. Not that these things are wrong, but vices, the gluttony and the overuse. And you get distracted from the things that really count. And so, I suck it up. I've started this garden over several times, and I give thanks that I've had a great yield. If I was to turn the camera around, I've had collard greens that have been feeding us for months. Kale that has been feeding us for months. To see how the kale, some things I haven't seen go to seed. Hey, some things I haven't seen go to seed, but I've watched how they start to replicate on their own, like the collards and the kale. To me, it's amazing. They started just growing over again, and again, feeding us for months. I've had little trees and things that hey, greetings. I've had these, when I walk the neighborhood, I ride my bicycle. I found some beautiful plants and flowers, like, because people will chop. This is a year-round growing season. So you have to prune or chop. Coming from the city, the mindset is you don't want to chop or prune because the plant or the fruit or the vegetable looks so beautiful. You may not get the importance of pruning and or cutting off pieces of the plant as it overgrows. I'm looking at an oregano bush here that is, I cannot believe how big this oregano bush is. It's like ridiculous. And sometimes it grows so far out, it covers our bicycles. And in my mind, I don't want to cut it. But in trimming it off, that's part of the nurturing process. That's how it's been able to grow. Parts of the plant, let's say that have gone dead, or those parts you trim off, otherwise the energy is leaching out. The nutrients are leaching out to that part of the plant, and more nutrients are not going up to the new leaves of the plant. So I'm telling you, I'm just sharing this experience, this simple experience, that the garden is such an analogy for life. I'm always, and there's certain things people are laughing at. Ouch, ants. People were laughing at me. My whole family pretty much were laughing at me for years, Miss Vegan, about, well over 35 years ago. Then I started eating healthy. They teased me and said I was eating bird food. And I don't take it personally. But the diabetes, the obesity, 300 libras, 400 libras, 300, 400 pounds. And my family is rampant. There have been mastectomies, both sides now. Before it was just the southern side. There have been amputations. So I've always been very present to the pain of our consumption choices. As nature wants you to use her, the more you pick and prune, the more it grows. Yeah, exactly, locked by Nietzsche. And it's one thing to read this stuff in a book. It's when you experience, I swear, it's a shortcut. It cuts your learning curve. Because you immediately connect to nature. And then also, most folks where we live are not vegan or vegetarian, nor do I recommend anybody needs to. Well, I don't like to tell people what to do. I love the lifestyle. Personally. I enjoy it. I enjoy my food, but coming to grow a lot of my food, I don't grow 100% of my food, nowhere near 100%. So of course, it's a lot of work. So it really humbles you to think of the people that grow the food, whether they're locally or they're if they're in Mexico or whatever. We take folks for granted. Some folks may think that farmers are less people, or they deserve less pay. When I was a farming group or a garden group, some Black folks growing food out in Brooklyn. And shout out to Naima Senghor and Brother Lee Wanika from the food co-op out there in Brooklyn. Sometimes you just find these people that are gems, that open their house to be a center for sharing. And we had a little Black gardening group. And everybody had a piece of information, and some of the folks that are more senior had some more information. But even some of the young people with their excitement, I know my son was part of the group. I was glad for it. But there was so much information. We were studying about vertical gardening. In parts of the world, there's a whole movement for people that are in parts of the planet where there's less sunlight, right? Well, they are successfully growing lots of plants vertically in all different kinds of pots and containers and recycling. So I can sit here, as my sister would say, and talk to you about food and fitness and gardening all the time. I like to balance things out and bring people into the garden because it cuts a lot of talk. Just started again, Richard, again, an herb garden in the box. Last one I overwatered. Yes, it's over what? First of all, I would say fail forward. And there are certain things that is common to all people, and I'm saying especially as chocolate folks. I think we've been very conditioned to fear failing, and so many of us won't even start. Yeah, you are you in North Carolina? You could be growing so much stuff, Michaela. So definitely that's part of my channel. It's always been my mission. Anything fruits and vegetables and movement. And I invite you to follow me on Instagram and Body-Culinary. I'm just sharing what I'm on the planet to do before I expire. Hopefully no time soon. But when you water the plant, you overwater, you'll start to notice that the leaves are going to turn. And sometimes there's no way to shortcut the process. Sometimes shortcutting the process is communing or spending time or hanging out with other people that are growing. That's what I found. So I am the person from the time I was young. It occurred to me reading books, I can tap into what other people are doing. And also, this is such a positive use. Hey, Empress, Ethiopia, greetings. It's such a positive use of social media. And I will say this, I think it's really long overdue time for us to write a new narrative. Yes, our people have gone through slavery. Yes, where it's so much stuff that we can complain about. There's so much. But, it really occurs to me that a lot of stuff we're playing into a lot of these narratives. This is such a wonderful use of social media. Not for nothing. I'm over here in Central America and I'm kicking it on my little laptop, my little iPad, my old phone, because I'm not one to buy a whole bunch of new phones. Hey, this is my sister's watching. Hey, sis. My best sister, we be going through it over here in Central America, But anyway, let me just commercial break. Let me show you some of the things. Okay, so I am the girl. Yes, I got old clothes on, recycled clothes on. These are my garden outfits. I like stuff with pockets on it because I can put all kind of garden tools in my pockets. I got some nice old pants that are very, very loose because it gets very, very hot. So they can cover my legs from some of the mosquitoes. And inside one of my pockets, I got here some citronella oil. I don't know if y'all can see that. But I mixed this with olive oil or coconut oil, which is very inexpensive here, to ward off some of the mosquitoes, right? So I took a whole bunch of recycled bottles. And in terms of fertilizer, I have some seaweed fertilizer. So now this one I got from the States. And I am Miss Afro Homestead over here. I will look to see my own, to see what I could do. I just have, just like I made a decision to grow food in the city. You'll be like, I can't. There's so many people on the channel that come on and say that I can't. And shout out to the person or persons that came on the Black Raw Vegan page that said, they have a story. We all have our story. We want a space to share our story. But a lot of us, and I'm going to say this, please, this is said with the most love, and I can dig it. We are going to pay some kind of price for everything we put into our bodies. For decisions even made in ignorance, or if you're naive, we still have to pay for that stuff. So I'm one person. I'm not a martyr. I am not Jesus Christ. I'm just here. Hey, Ruth, need to get on that vertical. And we don't have to overwhelm ourselves doing everything at once. This is a local seaweed. No, this is not local. I got this from the States. I had somebody to get this brought in for me. Hey, Fiddy Tash. But this is a liquid seaweed. And so when we think of vegan or plant-based fertilizers. Now, don't get me wrong. The animals, we could be so vegan and so far left. We can be so... we get so hooked on leaders and religions and stuff. Sometimes it short circuits our common sense. And I'm telling you to get out there and put your hands in the garden. You are not going to fail. You are going to learn. People can tell you something. Good to do your research, but you can balance it out with learning from going into the garden. From several harvests of sesame seeds at two young sisters from Brooklyn. We wasn't raised with no gardening. We grew a bunch of sesame seeds, greens that have been feeding us for months, lemon basil, oregano, lots of okra. We got 2 little banana things. Right now, let me let you in on something. There's a lot of stuff right now that's starting to die in my garden, and we could get freaked out. But it's a part of the process. And sometimes if you don't give it enough water, there are times of the year where the plants may need twice the amount of water. The heat here is raw. Some plants, the person was asking about watering, some plants are overwatering. So the garden will cause you to pay attention to what it is that you're doing. I don't really like to waste, so more so to say what I don't like to do. I like to recycle. I took all these water bottles. You only need about an ounce. So I took like something that looks like a shot glass that you can get from the health food store or anything that's a shot. You don't have to buy it. And a shot of the liquid seaweed can go into a whole gallon of water. So I have to put back nutrients in the soil from all that I've been taking. Did I go to agriculture school? No. There's YouTube. I research. As a people, we got to get up off our butts, and we have so much, especially if we're in the city in so-called Babylon. It's a mindset. Anywhere you go on this planet, there's rules, there's laws, there's gangsters. People sometimes are selling us stuff, and we're so busy looking at what we think other people have, or what we don't have. And then we don't make use of all the resources that are available to us. Hey, Fallen Skies, how are things down there? Okay. Hey, greetings, sister. So, again, I want to run down the seaweed fertilizer. This I bought, but let me let y'all. There's so much that I can share with y'all. I'm gonna share so much at one time because I got chores, and if you don't get things done in a certain kind of order, when the sun gets up to a certain point, it will burn out all your plants. So I can sit around here and look sad, but I got to balance out time to exercise. I have built a pull-up station here with some tires and some cement, which I lugged home. I'm like the little ant, because that's how my grandmother was working it. Keep a water bottle while you're in here in the garden. And these are old sweet potatoes. Child, my favorite green, and I'm a collard green lover. I'm going to plant these sweet potatoes. And I'm going to get some greens. And these have a quick turnaround. Some of the other greens that I plant can take months before they really kick in and come to fruition. And it takes a while. You probably can't see one of my tables over here. But I got a whole table here full of old gallon water bottles where I cut off the bottom and I put soil in them. And these are my starters. I've got rolls, the empty toilet paper rolls, which I'm taking the empty toilet paper rolls. You would go to Home Depot and spend all this money for this. And I can fold in the bottoms of them, like you fold a cardboard box in, put soil in them, and those are starters for the plants. Hey, Afia speaks. So I can use the toilet paper rolls to start. I've got these old gallon things. I've got all kind of recycled bottles here, but check this out. Why should I go pay for it? I mean, sometimes you will have to come out of your pocket. But I got some old recycled bottles. I'm not digging everybody's garbage, but I will take stuff sometimes out the garbage because this stuff is choking out all the birds and the plants. If y'all can see how much plastic is in the ocean, I'm not trying to sound like Ms. Do-Gooder, but if so, I'm over here in a hurricane. We get hurricanes. All of this plastic and garbage inside of the water is contributing to the hurricanes. The hurricane would tear up your garden. It would tear up your house. All these people looking to escape Babylon. I mean, you have to deal with cause and effect anywhere we go. The best we can do is to be responsible and to work with what we have. So also, I've got some salvaged buckets over here. I got to go tweeze because I have learned, been humbled to learn to prune. I found you on YouTube yesterday. Oh, you're so welcome. Michaela, please share with other folks. Invite folks into the garden. Come into a garden party because that's what I'm interested in. If you're talking about movement, if you all are interested in aerial silks, come join me. If you're interested in, if you ain't got money and all that for massage and seeing what I do with my little vertical spinner to massage my back, I miss homegrown. I like to have a lot of fun with this stuff. But anyway, this is all a big old batch of seaweed that when I went down south, yes, I'm the sister that had the plastic bags on the bus with the seaweed. And I've got, for all the vegans out there, I got my neighbor some of his eggshells, because remember my grandpa putting that stuff in, and some of the broken down compost. It smells really, really funky. But all the money we're spending for fertilizer, it's like we want everything packaged and everything done for us. And sometimes in shortcutting the process, there's so much information that we miss. I like to say that the food is talking to you, or the food is communicating with you. When I'm using so much of the avocados and Also, the coconut, I can notice if the food is discolored, if it's spoiled, the different smells. And if you think of it, you think industry is going to waste all of this stuff so that it take time? Yes, it takes time. For all of those folks that, and I'm going to say this, a lot of folks and many women that may not be in relationships, it's not a negative thing. In terms of attracting things, we can really have a good time by ourselves and enjoying quality time with ourselves, male or female, but I'm going to say especially as women. There's all of this pressure now, and I'm not making it wrong. I'm just contributing to the conversation. There's so much pressure for us to now, yet again, another cycle to buy expensive makeup and wigs and put them on to attract men of means who want to take care of us. It's ridiculous. I think black women were driving ourselves crazy. Whereas if we learn to enjoy quality time with ourselves, I'm telling you, you grow some plants, it's like a little miracle, little babies being born. And for those women that may not have children, the children are babies. And everybody in our communities, how we going to say we have community, we don't have community, we have neighborhoods. We get so caught up these days in semantics that there are children in our community. The greatest mothers, one of the greatest inspirations to me, the most dynamic chocolate woman, black woman I have ever met, never had children come out of her womb. If you met her, she'd be your godmother too. And I look forward. I don't think most likely I'll be 50. I'm not going to have any more children through my womb. But I'm open to those young people that come my way who I can get some, if they're interested and open, tell them about a book, tell them about gardening, maybe just give them some direction, because if somebody would have gave me some common sense direction looking back, it could have saved me so much money, so much time, so much pain, when it comes to exposing ourselves to wasting our money. Some of these young people don't know what classes to choose for school. Should they go to college? Some of them may not be aware of alternative types of education. Some folks don't have parents that are accessible to them. And it's not to beat up on ourselves. We have generations of us. We have lots of gifts, but we also have lots of generations of our folks that are immature parenting. So we could keep looping the narrative, or we can write a new narrative. And that's what I'd like to encourage folks this morning. Write a new narrative. Write a new narrative. Okay, we all can, compare trauma. Write a new narrative. Write one that works for you. If you want to wear mascara or not. I don't know. That's not important. But what is important is I am willing, if y'all open, I'm over here in the garden. If folks want lessons from the garden, I share that. That I can do. I leave messages and information for family members whenever they should be ready, that they can look up and make use of, whether these are the young women in my family. Shout out to my nieces, should they ever look at this video. And if it's not the nieces in my family, then whatever young people or whatever young mothers, very passionate about mothers and information that we may not be exposed to. Sometimes it's a mother that's very proactive and taking my son to Capoeira, and then he's going to soccer, then he's at the food co-op. I would watch a lot of the mothers sometimes sitting on the sidelines, and I'm like, mothers want to dance too. Mothers need to participate too. Otherwise, we just put so much into this idea. And don't get me wrong, family is very, very important. But hey, Pete, life is rich. It's meant to be enjoyed. Like, we're constantly being dangled with this carrot that you got to have $1 million gazillion dollars. There's so much that I have done that is wealthy, just like my grandma Lou. Well, I didn't have $1 million, but I was just really creative. Women and mothers, we're creative as a people. Sun-kissed people, we are creative people. So I'm in a little yard, y'all. The soil doesn't even grow down deep. But I tell you one thing, I had soil from here and there. I got some folks on some substances, gave them a couple of dollars to get some tires to put out in my garden. I've learned a lot about some of the local plants that are here. You move into the tropics. Well, there's so much to be said for moving to the tropics. Everywhere that we go, there's going to be trade-offs, right? There's not as fast Wi-Fi here. There's not as many amenities. I visited the tropics before. It all depends on what you want, and every area has its pluses and its quote unquote its inconveniences. I mean, I say minuses. It's really good even if we move to the tropics to keep in contact with people in the States, because some stuff you can't get over here, and you'll be taking stuff for granted. You just can't sometimes get Amazon over here. And if you're trying to order seeds and stuff, you don't have as much access to stuff. You try to order certain things in the post office, you're going to get charged heavy duty. Your hair products in the beauty supply store, you ain't going to find over here. So it's good encouragement to go natural or to learn how to do without things or to be creative and use the resources that you have locally. So the garden is being turned over again. Yeah, fallen skies, lost the corn. Not because it didn't grow. It grew great. It was beautiful to come out and see it growing. But I was so busy with other stuff and so many tasks that I didn't get to it before the bugs did, the bugs and the heat. So there's so many learning lessons in the garden. Where you from? I from the States. I's from the States. But my family is Caribbean and Southern. I would say that I love my Black American culture. I know we can get caught up in why did we say Black with all the conscious folks. We get so caught up in lingo and semantics that it's dizzying. And I get the efforts to choose language that is very life affirming, but sometimes we become information paralysis. So over here, I'm so appreciative of some Stevie Wonder and some Black American culture, but I'm so appreciative of the soca and the calypso. I'm just so appreciative of my culture, and I claim it all. But I'm from the States, so I have allegiance, to the plants. Because at the end of the day, whether you call yourself vegan, vegetarian, paleo, when I turn on the volume, I'm looking at behavior. I'm looking at how some folks could be eating vegetables and fruits, whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're nice people. So I'm just responsible for what I can do. And these ants are starting to tear my feet up. So I got all these recycled bottles. I've got loads and loads of fertilizer. I'm going to plant some sweet potatoes in the ground. You can be very creative if you have a small space and a decent sized garden. Some of you might think this is large, but this is actually a small space. And I've really worked space because that's what I wanted to do. If you want to do something, do it. Fail forward. It's not really failure. It's feedback. You are going to learn something because whoever said about overwatering the plants, then now you learn that possibly, am I overwatering the plants? So what do? You look at YouTube, look at my videos. There's so many videos. I watch this girl in China, and oh my gosh, it's not even in English. I love hanging out with this girl because she is so talented. She's farming. She's making the most beautiful dresses. She's doing carpentry work. I am actually, her meals are absolutely stunning. She's all the way in China. So if we're so distracted, we're missing out on opportunities. Just like the pineapple that I could say went to waste, but it's a tremendous lesson. And its composting is turned right over into the ground. And again, taking so much out of the earth, I could taste now. I can definitely taste. We've had some watermelon. I could taste. And we even got some cherries that were imported because they don't grow local here. The American type cherries. We get Suriname or Bijan cherries here. But they taste like nothing. I can taste when whoever was growing the food has not put nutrients back into the soil. On another note, there are some folks online. Hey, Patty Leonard. There are folks online in expat groups online that you can research. Do your research before you go to these different areas. So you can have an idea of who to hook up with. Also, educate yourself and be safe in the area on safety. We could be very excited when we come to tropics and open ourselves up to anybody. And I will say this, when you're new coming into an area, the people that are there will likely see things in patterns that you don't see yet. So be very careful so you don't get scammed. And especially if you're one of the chocolate folks coming from the States, so that you don't get mishandled, especially if you're a woman and you're traveling by yourself, so you can stay safe and not get sucked up in any of the cult activity because you have well-meaning intentions. So do your research, use your common sense, get in the garden, grow somewhere. If you're in the States, you can grow plenty of microgreens very inexpensively. Some people have even turned these into lucrative businesses. So if we're going to say that we're kings and we're queens, first of all, those words are thrown around very loosely. And as a collective, we're making attempts, and that's great. But in some of our basic treatment of each other and how we're treating our body temples, to be quite honest, it's not. It doesn't translate. It doesn't show up if we're exposing our bodies and our minds and our psyches to all kinds of things. So there's education out there. But if we're talking about kings and queens and we're talking each other, and mishandling or scamming or misusing each other, it doesn't translate. So where can we start in a new narrative? What are the things that you want to do? Do you want to grow food? You can grow food. If you want to exercise, you can exercise even if you're in a small apartment. I've competed in fitness. I've worked at gyms. But as a mother, I was always determined that, and I knew I had to exercise first because it felt great, great for stress release. But I also know that the diabetes and high blood pressure is waiting for me. And I'm a person that likes to eat. Never been bulimic or anything like that. Fortunately, I'm not overweight. But if I ate the way I ate before, the same stuff with half of my thyroid going, I wouldn't be able to sit on this bucket of seaweed. So we can find reasons or excuses to do what it is we want to do. You don't have to allow living in an apartment to limit you. And if you're in a city, the pros are you've got Wi-Fi everywhere in the train stations. You've got community gardens where you can share the work and learn with other people. Use the resources that are available to you. Right now, we have so much use of the internet. If we sit on the sidelines and we don't participate, then we're not going to know what's going on with the children, and we're likely not setting a very effective example. And also we're not having fun, because this is fun. It's exciting to me. So I can see it, talk to you all day. I know people got to go to work and do different stuff. I finally got my pineapple. Oh, you did? Hey, Fallen Sky. So this is one of the homies from the South saw this pineapple growing. And if I didn't upload that video, I got so much content, Fallen Sky, that I haven't put up yet. I could find a Black or vegan community locally. If you can't, let me try to address two things. The pineapple, you could grow pineapple in pots. If you're in the city, you can get grow lights. Look on the internet. I'll put as much as I can, but it's like with the PTA. You can't make one woman the whole PTA and put all the work on one woman and one mother in the PTA, because she's going to get burnt out, and it's not even fair. So my son had started a page on Facebook before, so I don't know if we can crowd everything onto the Raw Black Vegan page. But this page was gardening the earth and growing community, or if you look, you may see it. But I think I'm going to start uploading more there, and I definitely upload what I'm doing in the garden on YouTube, because then I can organize the videos into playlists, so I'm not overwhelmed. And then for there was a person, they're somewhat older. I don't think they're older, they're more mature. 60 is not old, right? Sometimes again, in these narratives, we start playing like we're so old, and this has happened to me, and that's happened to me. And a lot of us have been molested, mishandled, scammed. We got generational, I'm going to call them curses. We've got generations of trauma passed down. But we are in an age where you can research so much about therapy and understanding narcissism or post-traumatic syndrome or different techniques. You can really be proactive. In 2019, nobody is holding a gun to our head to make chocolate folks smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol. Cigarettes and alcohol are very, very expensive. That's money we can be putting into a fund to travel. We could be using that for seeds. If we buy into these narratives, even around the world, when we go to the tropics, you can see chocolate folks sometimes struggling. Sometimes you can see, I've seen it in Africa, all over the world. We're thinking that something is somewhat going to be better somewhere else. You can go to another place and be in a tropical environment and feel totally isolated, because it's a whole nother culture. And sometimes you can be looked at as the American, but you're Black, but the American with the money. So these are some things that we may not consider when we're going to the tropics, when we're trying to escape. And there's nothing wrong with changing your environment. I encourage people to travel, but keep your connections to somebody at home for safety. Get round trip tickets and scope out the area. Get extra copies of your passport. Actually, there's several videos that I've done to leave information aside for people. Also, it does take time and energy, whether it's the computer, batteries, equipment, to make content. So it's not like, I'm not doing this for free. I don't have a big YouTube channel. And so we have to be very careful and sensitive to not burn out. And I'm not calling myself a leader. I'm a mother, a sister. I'm a leader in my household. But be careful not to burn out people in our communities that do work, whether it was a John Henrik Clark or, Dr. Sebi or any of these people. They're human beings. Also, these human beings, and I'm going to say this is from my heart, they have flaws too. I don't know that they would want us to not use our common sense. Hey, Africa. Yeah, 50 is young. Thank you. But I think all of our elders and ancestors would want us to use our common sense. And sometimes we get so into this person, we're God, that we forget we're human beings with flaws, and we put people up on pedestals to have to pull them down later. Nothing is going to shortcut the process of us using our common sense, because we may put people up on pedestals, and then when we see they're human, or have to pull them down later when we see sometimes some of their vices or other things that they may have gifts in one area, but they're humans just like us. So I caution folks to not be so religious and caught up in the philosophy that we never get started with the gardening. We never start. We do so much fasting that we never consider how we're going to live regularly after we get off the fast, right? And so if we just keep it simple and consistent and relax and calm down, not be afraid to fail, take responsibility. I need a shirt that says responsibility is a new spirituality. If we take responsibility, whatever we do to our bodies, we're going to pay for. I did not like having a face full of acne. Whatever we put into the body has to come out. And human beings, us as a people, we've been in denial about a lot of things, right? Whether it's scamming, molestation that comes on in our community. It's not all of us, but we have the opportunity. I'm not telling grown folks what to do. We have the opportunity to take a real look at things that have been set in motion, what we have contributed or not contributed to solutions and to being an example in our own life. And then we can write a new narrative. And a big tool in my toolbox is the garden. I invite everybody. Everybody can grow something. I got so many bags over here of stuff growing. I'm looking at okra. The eggplant is doing really well. I got 2 little baby banana trees. There are 2 huge banana trees here. This is not even a year and a half. And these are planted. And they've given us already a huge thing. First, a placenta grows on the tree, and we've gotten a huge bunch of plantains, and now another one is coming. I've got lemongrass, all of these things. Just start with something, somewhere. It doesn't have to cost a lot. Recycle what you have available to you. The things that you eat, put them in the ground, put them in some dirt and see if they grow. It's going to teach you something. You don't have anything to lose. If anything, you're going to get information. And we could pull some of this energy from being so anxious and anxiety-ridden around being picked and chosen, and pick and choose, ourselves, right? Relax into the garden. It's giving you so much information. Hey, Stacy, how are you? Oh, did you guys take some pictures, fallen skies, of your pineapple? Mine's over there that I share that it made its transition because the ants it was all ripe and ready to be picked and eaten. I could tell from the colors it was going to be so delicious. And the ants got to it within a day and a half. Gone. Pineapple gone. So I do and I'm seeing some other things change color. So I'm seeing why I need to go put some of this fertilizer in there. I don't want to plant when the sun is all the way super hot, because it's too hot. The hot sun will burn your little baby plants out. But so much information, so little time. It's early in the morning. It's still after I'm sitting here running choppers over here. But I just wanted to share just some positive energy with you all, because you can get so caught up in the gourmet recipes and stuff with raw. And a lot of times a lot of us are looking just like when Atkins and what is it now? This popular paleo. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of folks are just looking for excuses to eat more bacon, and to be more glutton. Eat, and think we don't have to pay the price or burn anything. We're looking for the easy way out. We're going to all these extremes, and we don't come as a collective to a balance. Because most of those folks that are eating keto, and paleo, first of all, most of us couldn't even run to capture an animal because we're so out of shape, and then you just wouldn't have the amounts of nuts. If you see how hard it is to crack a cashew, the acid would spill out on your hand. There's cashew fruits, trees all over here. Most people are not aware of the cashew fruit, and the acid inside will burn your hand. So it shows you we're not meant to be eating all these nuts. Simple nature could give you so much information, and it will make light bulbs go off. It will give you such another respect for the food that you're putting into your mouth, and the food that we're eating. Ouch. I wanted to mention before, ants, that one of the things, shout out to Brother Jay from the community gardening group in Brooklyn, that he recommended a good video to research. You can find it online on YouTube. Great information for us. It's a homework assignment. Hit me up and let me know if you should see it. It's called The Power of Community. And it's about a time called the Special Period in Cuba. Shout out anybody if you're aware of it. When they had an economic embargo, and the U.S. wasn't doing any trade with Cuba, and nothing was really allowed to go in or out. So within 2 weeks, the economy went straight down. Doctors couldn't get to work. Cubans lost weight. So, lesson in terms of narrative. They started planting stuff everywhere. Everywhere. Now, the education level is pretty high in Cuba. I think it's communist/socialist. But the farmers were on par with the doctors. They also went into bicycle production. Do you know that folks are still going over to Cuba now? Traveling over. Folks are traveling over to Cuba because it's considered a model place to learn about. They're exporting fertilizer, the gardening techniques, and growing of food. I just spoke to someone yesterday who just came back from Cuba for a procedure they had done for their son. They have excellent medical care there. Excellent medical care. And so it was he said less than a third of what they would have paid had they gone to the States. But he said a lot of the area, the farmland, that is a lot of the growing goes to the government. So I don't know if there are any of these perfect situations, but we can start to use our critical thinking. Take the best and leave the rest. Everybody can grow something. We can start from there. Even I got numerous in bags that I haven't grown in. I grew lots of kale, tomatoes in bags that I got recycled from a hardware store. So there's so much that we can do. I always feel like, in my gut that people would grow more, exercise or dance more if they had, community of folks to do it with, So you're going to, a lot of times if you don't see what you're looking for, then maybe likely you're going to have to create it or do your research to tap into those people so you can also have inspiration and motivation. I'm the person to carry my food and send my family out with really lovely food bags and spill-proof containers, all that. Oh, so before I forget, out here running my traps, I got to go because I know I got to go make my tea and make my coconut milk, and I got stuff to put in the ground. But I do have 2 books that I wrote. Well, I laid out everything I've been doing all of these years to shorten people's learning curves. One of them is called Whole Living Foods in the Hood, Part 1, with menus to fit your budget, right? So I'm a very visual person. I produced it out of my own pocket. The pictures and everything was quite expensive. But anyway, you can download it. It just lays out, like, if you have a budget of $5, $10, $20. I've been telling people for years, find somebody else to do bulk shopping with at a wholesaler. And you can split the cases. I was shopping for cases of food with just me and my son. But I was always looking. Nobody else was ever interested. But you can find folks, and that will cut your shopping time down. It will make you be so much more creative. If you got cases of cucumbers, tomatoes, sweet potatoes, you start to get real creative with some recipes, right? And so I break down different shops, and then also menus for those things that you shop for, because some people are like, oh, now I got all this produce. What am I supposed to do with it? If you have a family, ways to get your family on board. I'm telling real life strategy. Because again, I'm a big eater. If I didn't strategize and make all these beautiful cakes and pies, I would be on the other side, right? So sometimes we might be the only person. Yes, it's tropical here. And you might be the only person in your family or around you or where you work that really is on a mission to upgrade the way that you're eating. So I've always been one to seek out support. I'm always looking for the women that are 50, been doing this for years. Remember Essence had that layout of women that look good for their age? I'm looking for the women that are 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 that are having a blast with their life, that writing their own narrative, that are dancing, growing, doing the things that they want to do. So you can use social media to tap into those things. If you're interested in gardening, tap into who's doing it and create community. So that's part of the reason my sister created this page, because if we wanted to put stuff out, if we might get kicked out of other groups. So she created this page so we could be comfortable, let our hair down. If somebody comes and they offer information, you could be, I don't care if you're purple or you're white or whatever. If you have a positive vibration and you're offering information, like the woman in China, if nobody else around me is interested, you think I'm not going to tap into and see, what that sister's doing around the world? It's up to us to write a new narrative. We have the opportunity to write a new narrative and have fun doing it. And so last thing, I'm going to leave you folks with my garden shoes of choice. How much were these? Maybe $2.50. They're like a Croc, but they have support in it. And then my little boots, my inexpensive boots. Folks have asked me before about snakes and stuff like that. I have, yes, as somebody that's cruelty free, I've killed a snake. So I'm gonna use my common sense when I need to. I have killed a couple of snakes. So you might want to get some good boots. These are super duper inexpensive. I don't even know if these were $5 or something here. And sometimes if I'm in the area where there's compost, so my feet are not covered in ants, because these ants are no joke. Some of them feel like knives around here. Some of the teeny tiny ones, they got all kinds of ants around here. I've become a professional ant watcher, and they're really strong. They should have made a netcha for ants. But those are my garden shoes of choice. Sometimes you can be slipping and sliding if you don't have shoes with a good grip on it, especially during rainy season or if you're hosing down the area. So that's a lot of information so early in the morning. Thank you folks for joining. Just wanted to share some positive energy, because sometimes we could be so focused on food and gourmet recipes. I think some of us would freak out if we had to remove the oil, the added sugars, even if they're agave nectars, which can be very expensive, the sweeteners and the salts. Most of us would probably freak out, but I bet you that would put your taste buds in check. Oh, the other book was Natural Beauty, No Products, Love Your Own Hair and Skin, is cruelty-free and vegan. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I can just share as somebody that was quote-unquote vegetarian and vegan many years ago for quite a few years, then went back to You're welcome, Michaela. Then went back to eating meat several years when I was doing fitness competitions. And then inherently on my own, this stint is about 11 years, maybe 11 years plus. And it's not about necessarily the label. The label is just the distinction for your clarity. So right now, I don't consume any animal products because I'm not led to do so. I can't tell, nor am I interested in telling people what to do. But in terms of results, the acne cleared up. The things in the junk food, I used to be a junk food junkie. And I'm also trained as a chef. So I'd probably be big and obese and emoting my food, just processing more emotions with food. Oh, and that's the other piece of content that is coming. So let me know. Please hit me up in the DM if you're interested. I'm always saying about what I'm passionate about. And one of them is mindless eating. So I'm going to be putting together some coursework and some courses for folks to explore and to be very present to what state of mind you're in when you're eating. Because adipose tissue around the midsection, that's the fat that we don't want. I'm not talking about subcutaneous fat right underneath the skin. It is very representative of us not being present while we're eating or zoning out. So much to be said for that. So if you're interested in tuning into a relaxation around our eating. And again, that's why the garden is such a huge tool to de-stress and become present. Whew, that's a lot. So I know I could talk. You folks, create a great day on purpose. You're welcome, Carla. Let me get my sister to share her juice, because that's my one of my tasks that we do. We have our specialties. So my dear sweet sister with the beautiful gap in her teeth, she has her task and I have my task, so we all have specialty. We help each other. But the garden is, actually you can really throw that in the garden too, but this is one of my loves. So I'm on garden duty and on juice, smoothie, food creativity duty. That's my goals. And also in having goals of no blood, no oil, no sugar, no salt. Let me go through the channel on the Body-Culinary channel. Because I tell you, go back into the archive. I put so much information here for y'all folks. It's free. And for folks that are asking, I put free content. It's taking me hours and stuff to put, hey, Patty Letter, much love. I laid so much there. Take your time and go through the information. And also, y'all folks with the thin hair, the fine afro texture there, I got you. Ain't no oil or nothing up in these here locks. And it's all good. I got other things to worry about. So that's not my focus. I just pulled all that money out of the beauty supply store, pulled it out of their pockets gladly. And that stuff goes into the choosing of seeds. So let me know what you're interested in. If you're interested in the mindless eating course and being present in your eating and getting grounded, it's a different channel than dieting. I do not diet. I eat plenty of good fats from avocado and coconuts and all that other stuff. It's a balance. It's a sweet spot that you can find, and that's going to be personalized for everyone. Yes, watch that video. It's informative. Yeah, want to take the same idea. Ooh, you looking at going to Namibia, Fallen Skies? Uh-oh. I wish I could find a black raw vegan look. Wait a minute. Too much, too little. You looking for a raw vegan community locally. Listen, if you don't got a raw vegan community, that's why we created the page. Sometimes what you got to use what you got, right? We got to use what we have. So there's community here online. You could be tapping into how many other channels, right there. You could be on the early morning gossip channel. But y'all here with me in my little yard with plenty of cerasee over here, which I need to pick to make, oh my gosh, this has a distinct set. I never even saw the fresh cerasee before I came to Belize. I'm telling you, it's such an eye-opener with this food. This stuff grows like weeds here. It's considered like a weed. It will proliferate everywhere inside your garden. This is a top blood cleaner, and this is something that's grown locally. All right, folks, create a great day on purpose. Take care, Stacy, Fallen Sky, on purpose. Subscribe. Let me know what y'all want to see. All right, take care. All right, y'all folks, create a great day. Create a great day. Folks out there in Black World Vegan Foods and Fitness. All right, we got business to take care.